One evening when my wife and I were coming up from Olympia to Seattle in our boat, we were approaching the Tacoma Narrows, and off in the distance we saw a pod of orcas that were paralleling our track. And so we were watching them as the sun was going down, and we were going underneath the Tacoma Narrows, and it was just a beautiful, iconic Pacific Northwest evening you might see in some book someplace.
Orcas are majestic. They're the animal kingdom equivalent of Mount Rainier.
The southern residents are so important to the Pacific Northwest because not only are they a really symbolic animal to this region, but they're also a really big part of the natural environment here. And when you consider that, you can really consider that taking care of them is taking care of our own home.
They're our top mammal on the marine side, and so they give us a good idea of what's going on out in that marine environment. If orcas are hurting, there's something going on that's going to hurt the rest of the system, including humans.
The Lummi consider the orcas our relatives that live under the water. We regard them as our relatives, and we also know that what happens to the orcas happens to our people.
The southern resident killer whales, also known as orcas, are a population here in the Pacific Northwest, and they're listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act.
The southern resident orca population is not doing very well. Their population stands at just 75 individuals, and we were lucky to celebrate the births of 3 calves over the last couple of years, but that's not enough, and the lives of those babies are still precarious.
They're long-lived creatures, so they're not all in the breeding age. We only find about 1/3 of the whales are breeding at any given time, and we're not having high survival of those that do breed.
There are 3 factors affecting orca survival. The first and probably most important is the lack of food for them, the Chinook salmon that is their preferred prey. The second is toxic chemicals in their blood, and the third is noise and interference from boats.
It's vitally important that we do our part to save the orcas. If they go extinct on our watch, then that's the guilt that we're going to have to live with and that we passed on to our future generations.
These are who we are. If we lose the orca, we've lost part of ourselves.
Recreational boaters and southern residents can coexist together safely by doing a few things.
Having a clear definition of what the orcas need is really important. And right now the Whalewise is the nice way to do it. And if we don't follow the Whalewise rules, there's going to be heavier rules coming.
Being Whalewise is really critical to orca recovery because it provides boaters with kind of an outline on how to protect these animals.
Within a half nautical mile of these animals, it's a 7-knot speed limit. Anything over that is a violation of the rules. Secondly, it's a distance or a spacing protective bubble that we've placed around these animals. Anytime there's a southern resident killer whale in the vicinity, you're not allowed to approach within 300 yards to the sides and with 400 yards from the front and back of an orca or a group of orcas. That is to give it a little more space, to give that animal an opportunity to feed and to take care of its young.
Following Be Whalewise practices is important because orcas use their own form of sonar called echolocation to find their food. And they're hunting in the deep, dark depths of Puget Sound, and they need to use sonar to find fish. And too much noise from boats interferes with their ability to hear and hunt and catch food and feed their young.
They need to have that uninterrupted sound environment so they can hear and find those salmon. And if we interfere with that, even if the fish are there, they got to find them too.
If you're in an area within a half mile, say, of a group of orcas or a single orca, to turn off your sounder, because those sounders can run at a frequency that can sometimes interfere with their own sonar that they use to find their prey. If you emulate great behavior, others will follow.
They can also keep an eye out for a whale warning flag. This is a flag that boaters can fly to signal that there are whales in the area. And that helps boaters understand that they should slow down and keep their distance from the whales.
I believe that the recreational boaters are going to do what they need to do to take care of these whales. Now we're in a time of respecting what's here and changing our mindset from look how close I got, isn't that cool, to look at the respect that we have for these whales, isn't that cool?
You can make a difference. Go to bewhalewise.org to find out more information and help us keep these animals around for the future.